common questions I get asked is what's the data and the literature to substantiate that recognition is one of the most important strategies we need to be embracing in business today? And very specifically, how is it going to be boosting our engagement? Well, let me first tell you about the most common ways that we're using recognition. And I think you'll probably see that in your organization, you may be using some, probably not all of them, and that there's some opportunities that you can capitalize on. Conference Board of Canada recently updated the Power of Appreciation study. So they look at Canadian businesses across every industry and try to find out what are they doing to demonstrate rewards and recognition. The most common thing that they found, and this is similar to their past studies as well, is that in fact, years of service is most commonly used. Over 50% of organizations' budgets is actually spent on this, and over 90% of organizations have some form of a years of service program. Now think about your organization, and if you're a small business, even think about the way in which you're working with your clients. How many people value long tenure? And in your organization, it may be perfect. Perhaps you have a lot of unionized folks, you've got people who stay with you a long time, and in that case, it's a great fit. But also consider what's the generational mix that you have in your organization. Do people need to move more, and that there's perhaps not the same stability in your industry, in your organization as there once was? Or perhaps your industry, it's just not a long tenure or a type of industry. That's when we really need to take a look to see if in fact all of the money that we're investing is really the best option. Second most common way, well, we have retirements, and retirements are great for similar reasons when we've got long tenure. However, it may be a legacy program as opposed to the most important program. Because you see, one of the biggest challenges with both of these top two strategies where we spend the majority of our funds is that people want sincere, timely, and easy to use strategies. So picture yourself receiving that award, or perhaps you're at that event and you're watching somebody else receive an award. If you've only been there for 6 months, 3 years, and the first award that you could get is 10 years of service, or perhaps retirement where you're thinking, wow, that's 25 years away from me, it may not have the same motivation to be able to keep doing your best work. And very rarely are those two top awards tied to your performance. This is one of the most common things that people are saying as to way recognition is starting to trend towards, however, not fast enough. So the third most common way is manager to staff appreciation. Now you probably would have expected this would have been the top one because we know that this is the most common ways that employees like to be appreciated and valued. However, sadly it's not. The good news is often it has to do with performance. The most common thing, about 80% of organizations that really embrace recognition manager to staff, they're looking for individual achievement, followed by collaboration, which is on the rise, and teamwork. So these are the things we want to see more of. And as a general rule of thumb, anytime an organization is seen as a leading practice when it comes to recognition, they're recognizing the things they want to see more of. So the fourth most common way of recognition, corporate recognition. And these can be one-offs, it could be annual, things like a major innovation or meeting a health and safety milestone, such as being a year free of injuries. These are great things that you want to reinforce. Again, the type of behavior and performance you want to see more of. When it's surprise and when it's a great relationship builder and community builder for your culture, that's when it works really well. When it seems forced and artificial, like we had to throw it together and that a lot of people were missing, that's when we can tend to miss the mark. And certainly when it's for optics outside of the organizations, employees or leaders will see right through that. Given how much money we spend on those one-off events, we better make sure it's meaningful. So the fifth most common way is peer-to-peer recognition. And what the literature consistently is saying is that this is our biggest missed opportunity because not only is it free or virtually free, and so every organization, no matter the industry, can afford to do it, but also it is the fastest way to spread a positive culture and boost engagement. Why? There's a lot more of employees than there are of leaders or PR departments and other departments who are putting on these major events. So how can we spread recognition at a peer-to-peer level? Thank you cards, e-cards, having poster boards around where people could write acknowledgements, and just role modeling it and really celebrating when we see it. These are some of the strategies that successful organizations use. And oftentimes, it's those organizations that practice multiple forms of recognition that have really embraced and are practicing peer-to-peer on a regular basis. And then finally, we also have life events. That's a common way that we could be doing more and more recognition. Some of the favorite examples I have are clients who have sent a thank you home to a family and to say thanks for, supporting your mom, your dad, your spouse for working so hard on this project, or perhaps even the birth of a baby. It also builds exponential power of recognition because you're probably surprised when you get acknowledgement for that. So think about how can you celebrate life events, and this can be done at a local level too. That's the other thing that we're seeing in the literature, is that there's a real range about how much is being organized corporately versus locally. There's a shift towards local, and I strongly encourage you, whether you're an employee, whether you're a middle manager, your senior leader, or the business owner, as much as you can make it local, as well as, of course, resource it and celebrate in a meaningful way things on a corporate level, that's where you get the best balance. When employees and leaders don't feel hindered to practice recognition in the way that best fits their culture, then you've got a recipe for success. My name's Sarah McDaniel. Be well and be great.